My electoral map analysis here. Today I'm going to dive into some key states and then predict some, current shifts as well as the upcoming elections, based on current trends and political dynamics. I'm just going to say this. I personally do not support Kamala Harris. I'll just be blunt about it, but I'm going to keep it as fair as possible with the way that I think that this election is going to take it. Moving forward, like I said, I do not support Kamala Harris, but I believe that this is a more accurate of predictions than you'll see on any type of media outlet because I'm keeping it real. And so, let's just dive into it. Arizona. I know in 2020, taking the quote unquote election fraud aside, there's something that people miscalculate about Arizona. So when it comes to Arizona, you have to remember that during that time frame, John McCain, was the senator from the state of Arizona. And if you can recall back to that time frame, McCain and Trump absolutely hated each other, but McCain had a strong grassroots outlook on that state and a firm grasp on it, and frankly, his entire family did. With the way that media is shifting, if you look at McCain's family and you see the way that they're pouring out into today's election cycle, let's just say that they do not support Trump where it stands. No matter what, they're not out essentially attacking Trump like they did in 2020. And so for that, I would say it's going to be leaning red. I think that you're going to see this come back to play into effect, where it stays that red boundary. Plus, with the illegal immigration, and you're seeing Trump, increasing in the Latino vote output. I think that that's going to stay red, and I actually think that some of those issues as well will effectively bleed over to Nevada. And this cycle, you will see a shift in that terms red as well. When you go back over to the Rust Belt, I do have Minnesota as leaning blue, especially with Tim Walz hopping into the race. I don't think that you are going to see a flip like a lot of people are talking about. That's going to stay blue, and frankly, I believe it's going to stay blue for elections to come. In terms of these states, I'll just get to the point here and give the Democrats a little bit benefit of the doubt. You're going to see Michigan. You're going to see this stay blue. I think that out of the whole Rust Belt, and you're looking over at Indiana and Ohio, I don't think that's going to bleed over. I won't be diving into the Senate races and my opinions on that. I'm just kind of keeping this very frank and to the point. Michigan, I believe, will stay blue. I don't see, the effect of that Trump effect kind of coming back from 2016 like we once saw prior. If you chime back over to Wisconsin, though, this is where I do think a lot of things will kind of pivot back in terms of the Trump arena. This is going to still be a battleground state. I do think it's going to come within, a few thousand votes. But, the manufacturing sector's importance, here cannot be overstated. With many voters in this state, still reliant on manufacturing jobs, I also see that the economic concerns and the current administration's policies playing a huge pivotal effect, as well as I think as we get closer to election day, you're going to see the Trump campaign pushing a lot more media with Gold Star families, with the Afghanistan withdrawal, and so many other factors with just inflation, and just so many different things. I think that Wisconsin will actually flip back into the Republican hand on that front. Now, flipping seats over here, we're going to Pennsylvania. Again, I'm going to stay out of the Senate races. Same with like Ohio and Arizona. I'm not going to chime in on those. If for some reason people actually enjoy this type of content, maybe I'll dive into my opinions on that. But if you look at Pennsylvania, and again, me saying what I'm about to say, not going into how I think that Senate race will unfold, but you have to look at where Pennsylvania is right now and its current policies. Okay, you have Fetterman over there, Senator Fetterman. If you actually look at national headlines, you'll notice that Fetterman has actually stayed moderate in terms of his outlook. For example, in terms of Israel, he's one of the few Democrats that has positioned himself in a very interesting way that kind of shows how moderate Pennsylvania is. Yeah, you do have Philadelphia that will no matter what go blue, but you have to take the rest of the state as a whole and understand that this state is 100% a toss-up, and I do think that it will come down to a few thousand votes. But with Trump, doing that push, especially with the assassination attempt happening in the state of Pennsylvania, him hitting key rallies, not only just recently, but with things on the schedule even moving forward, I think you're going to see Pennsylvania again go back into the Republican hands. And then flipping back down to North Carolina, we're going to see that go red as well. I'll just cut to the point on that one. Now, Georgia. Here's the interesting thing about Georgia. Okay, I understand that in 2020, we saw it flip back into the Biden or Democrat hands on that front. You have to, again, look at the headlines, right? Brian Kemp, the governor of the state of Georgia, has realigned himself into the Trump camp. Okay, maybe Trump still doesn't like him, maybe he's still bashing him on Twitter, but no matter what, Brian Kemp is actively campaigning for the president. He is actively, seeking donor contributions on behalf of the president, former president, we could say. And on top of that, you have to look at the cases that are happening inside the state of Georgia. You look at Fani Willis, and you even take it deeper into the case with Young Thug, right? In terms of the black vote, you're going to see a higher increase for Trump, not only across the entire nation, but especially in Georgia. Fani Willis has honestly done more damage to the Democrat Party than I think anybody has in recent history, okay? That's just my opinion. Hate me all you want. I'm just stating simple facts here. Okay, she did a horrible job as a prosecutor. She did not effectively complete her case against Trump. And to be frank, I don't think there will be a case against Trump in that state. And because of her, it's shining light onto the neglect that has happened from the Democrat Party and how their prosecution is essentially targeting Americans, aka, let's just say, Young Thug. And you're seeing not only nationally a push from current rappers, people that are, very high up on the streamer worlds. When you look at Aiden Ross, you look at, so many influencers. Georgia, is going to have the biggest impact when it comes to that kind of influence. And for that, I do think that state will again flip back into Trump's hands. I won't dive into the one electoral vote type deal in certain states. I'm just going to keep it simple. This is my understanding, and this is my opinion, again, my opinion of how I think the electoral map will look by the end of this. And I think that's going to leave us with about 293 electoral votes, with Kamala Harris taking 245, but effectively securing the presidency for President Trump once again. And if, again, people want to get my opinions on the Senate races and so on, maybe I'll do that. I probably won't, because I frankly don't care. But I thought I'd throw this out there because people need to hear this. I'm sick and tired of hearing people just kind of spew out a bunch of nonsense when in reality it's just completely biased. I get it. I already told you flat out. That's my opinion. I don't think Kamala's going to win, nor do I even like her. But this is the reality. I know you Democrats are going to get frankly pissed, but frankly, I don't care. With that being said, y'all have a blessed day. And if you enjoyed this, go ahead, hit that like. Go ahead, hit that subscribe. Either way, like I said, don't really care. You have a blessed one.